so great to be here with all of you today. Thank you so much for being here. We're just going to get started because we have so much to talk about. And I know this is an issue that you're all really passionate about. I'm going to introduce our panelists. We have Ryan Walters. He's the State Superintendent of Public Education in Oklahoma, first elected in 2022. Previously served as the Secretary of Education in Governor Stitt's cabinet. And for the first 9 years of his career, he was a high school history teacher at McAllister Public Schools. Thank you, Ryan. 3.5 years ago, Sonja Shaw would have been described as a devoted wife, mother of two, photographer, fitness instructor, and Bible study leader. Today, she is the fearless president of the Chino Valley Unified School District Board. Her journey began when she agreed to answer the call to lead a group of concerned parents who felt that their rights were being marginalized by an existing school board. This group gained voice during the pandemic years, and eventually she ran for school board on a pro-parent platform. She beat the odds and the former school board president in the last election alongside the help of many in her community. Her top priority is to make certain that parents, not state bureaucrats, determine what is the best interest of children. And this is my favorite part of her bio. Sonja has given her yes to God and will continue to stand in the gap. Now, I know that you all remember Quisha from her viral moment at our 2021 Pray Vote stand out in Loudoun County, but I will introduce her anyway. Quisha King is the parental rights and education freedom activist. She's the founder of Action Up America, a grassroots organization that focuses on organizing against CRT and gender ideology, and she's a homeschooling mom of two. All right. So back in 2021 at that Pray Vote Stand Summit, we were putting out the call. We had just been through the pandemic, and we were putting out the call. We need Christians to run for school board. We need Christians to run for local office. And isn't this wonderful to see examples of the kind of results that we can get? We've got very red Oklahoma, very blue California, and the free state of Florida, all right here, where really exciting things are happening. So I am going to start with Ryan, and I will confess to being a big fan of his. He's always, going hot on Twitter, or for X, whatever we're calling it now. But in spite of my admiration for the many wonderful things you've done, I have to ask you, what is going on with the pedophile principal in Oklahoma City Public Schools?
Well, folks, what we're seeing here is going on in Oklahoma. It's going on all over the country. This is Joe Biden's war on our kids, on our schools, on our faith, on our country. And what we see here is a clear attack to push radical gender ideology in the classroom, destroy American history, and take all rights away from parents. That's what's going on. You guys are seeing it. We're seeing it in Oklahoma. But we are leading the country in how we're fighting back on this. We do. We have a drag queen principal of one of our schools who has now hired another drag queen to work inside our schools. This is what Joe Biden wants for our schools, folks. Well, I have demanded that individual be fired. No drag queen should be running a school anywhere in this country, especially in Oklahoma. But we have to continue the fight. We have to win this war for our kids' souls, for our kids' minds. And in Oklahoma, what we've done is first, we introduced school choice. Every single child in Oklahoma has school choice. That means the parents can send their kids to a private Christian school. They can homeschool. They can send to a charter school. Folks, if your public school is going to do this, if they are not going to meet the needs of your kids, you need to get your kid and get them into a different school. And we are empowering every parent to do that in Oklahoma. The other thing we're doing, we are very proud. We have the first religious charter school in the country in Oklahoma.
Woo!
This is coming under assault from all these radical leftists and all these legal institutions. You know all of them, all these legal institutions suing against our religious liberties all over the country. But folks, we're not going to back down. As a matter of fact, we're standing even more clear. The Supreme Court has been wrong. There is no separation of church and state in the Constitution or Declaration of Independence. It doesn't exist. So we will bring God back to schools and prayer back in schools in Oklahoma, and we will fight back against that radical myth.
All right. We're going to drill down a little more on some of those here in a minute, but I want to move to Sonja, who is a beacon of hope in the very blue state of California, proving that parents matter everywhere all the time. So tell us about what's going on in California. What prompted you to run?
California prompted me to run. Back 3.5 years ago when the shutdown happened, our kids went on that online program and a lot of things were revealed. My kids have fortunate enough parents that pulled them out, yanked them out, put them into a charter for athletes, but not all kids have that availability. During that time, the kids were supposed to be coming back. I'm still seeing on social media the horrors of what these children are experiencing during this time. A bunch of us parents got together locally. We started a grassroots organization. We started to say, how can we fix this? How can we help this? Provide solutions. But we were shut down with our school district. And then through that, a lot of us parents found out there was a school board. I didn't know what a school board was. I didn't know you had elected officials kind of governing over the school. That's how day-to-day some of us are, and especially in California, we just go through the day, and do our normal things trying to provide for our children. We went through that, got shut down. We saw our school board had a wicked agenda. They were part of the problem. Us moms started to go out into we would fly to Sacramento, drive, whatever we can to start advocating towards these bills, but we knew at that point, learning what the school board was and learning who was behind and kind of puppeteering our school district, who has been amazing, by the way. They were just controlled by wicked things, that we had to flip some seats. We went against some big dogs with a lot of money. The person I ran against had over $150,000 on a school board. You don't even hear that in state elections. Running Fox 11 news commercials, they knew how to run an election. But us parents, we literally united together. We knocked on every single door in that area. And not only did we flip one school board seat, but we flipped two for a 4-to-1 majority that have parental rights. So it can be done.
Yes. It can be done.
We got sworn in December. January, we hit the ground running. We passed multiple policies that make sense, because common sense is missing in California. And here we are now, because of common sense, being sued by our Attorney General, who is allowing wicked, evil people on the streets, and he's suing us and wasting our taxpayer dollars. But God provides.
Yes.
And he will find and show the way.
Excellent, excellent. So, Quisha, from the free state of Florida, how are people bearing up under this draconian leadership you all are suffering under down there? I read about it all the time in the press, and it seems like it's really, really rough. And then today, I read that, Randy Weingarten again is saying ugly things about parents and mothers. And she called a couple of groups that I know and love the Uptown Klan. I think you might be members of those groups. What's going on with all of that?
Well, I think what they say when they start to call you names, you're over the target.
Yeah.
And it's funny that they use the word clan.
Yep.
Oh, is my mic not on? Oh, hello. Is it on now? My mic isn't on.
I was like, do you want mine?
Yay. Okay.
Can you hear me now? Okay, there we go. Well, so when they start to call you names, you're over the target, because that's what they do. They smear you. They try to demean you and make other people believe what they're trying to say about you. But it's funny that they use the word Klan, Because when you listen to their rhetoric, when you listen to what they actually believe, those who are part of these teachers' unions and the Randy Weingartens and even the NAACP, who recently put a travel ban in Florida, which is, I don't know. I got a lot of melanin, so I'm doing perfectly fine there. And I know a lot of others who are doing perfectly fine, so I don't know what they're talking about. But if you listen to what they actually believe, they are the ones who sound just like the KKK. Mm-hmm. They are the ones that are being racist. They are the ones that are trying to divide our children from each other, divide parents against their own children, and they're constantly trying to make America seem like it's a place that it is not. I don't know about you, but when you go in your grocery store, when you're getting gas, I find that Americans are pretty friendly and pretty, we're always trying to help each other. But the more that they can push that narrative, they can make us believe something that is just not true. And I hope we can get to talk about this, but when you dig into critical race theory, when you dig into the gender critical, these ideologies, they come from Marxism. And I think when we begin to really understand what we're dealing with, it becomes something internalized within us. And so it's not just this thing outside, it is something that we know we have to fight because they are literally coming for our children, as you guys have said. They're not joking, they're not kidding, they really mean what they say. Yeah. And so we need to take them seriously and continue to stand up and fight back.
I'm going to go back to Ryan. So I read, when I Google you, the articles that come up they're pretty upset. Even in Oklahoma, it seems like people are pretty upset, at least the people who are in the media and the people who are in the education establishment there. So they're all pretty shocked that you're going to, are you really going to allow a full 60 seconds of prayer to start the school day in Oklahoma? Is that really happening?
Oh, we absolutely are, folks. And all the right people are really upset. It is unbelievable to me how radical the left has become, folks. So let me tell you what these things are we're doing in Oklahoma. Every school will have a full minute of silence. And if your child chooses to express their religious belief, we are going to protect it. We know that the Judeo-Christian faith was vital in making this the most exceptional country in world history. We will protect that in our schools. The other thing that we are going to continue to do is to lay out this case for bringing God back to school. And notice the reaction from the left here, folks. They are fighting tooth and nail to keep graphic pornography in school, like Genderqueer and Flamer. These are the books they've injected into schools in our state and across the country. But guess what mortifies them? The Constitution, having the Bible in a school classroom. Think about this absurd position that the left has taken on. Folks, the more that they cry, the more that they get this extreme reaction, the more it tells me we're right over the target. The reality is we are going to bring God back to school. We are going to help students understand this is the greatest country in the history of the world. We want you reading the Constitution, and we want an action call. We want all students to know that decline is a choice. America is the greatest country in the history of the world because of our Judeo-Christian values. And you know what? We want all of our children to carry on the path that America is on, to live up to those core fundamental principles laid out in the Declaration. And so we're going to ensure that history is taught in our schools and the teachers' unions are out. Parents in, teachers' unions out.
Okay. So, Sonja, when you all hit the ground running in California, you passed a very controversial measure where your school board voted that parents should be notified if their child starts to have a question about gender or asks to go by different pronouns or changes a name, that if they make this declaration at school outside the parent's knowledge, that the school would be obligated to inform the parent. And now this is another one, if you Google it, you get a lot of crazy stuff going on. So can you tell us what is going on with that and how do the parents in your county feel about that?
Yeah, so very interesting. I never imagined this would go coast to coast, and actually in other parts of the world are writing about us. for notifying parents of something that they should obviously be notified. It was a simple notification policy because we know in California we have some crazy laws that I don't believe are constitutional, but we're gonna find the gray areas and challenge them, and this was one of them because we see from our Department of Ed and our unions, they're pushing confusion on our children, right? And not every child is fortunate enough to be able to be pulled out and put into anything, like a private school, but that's all it was. And here we are now being sued for it, but it also gives us hope because if California can come together, we've seen our communities come together. They're supporting us. Despite the multiple death threats that I've received in my family, despite being called every name in the book, you have so much beautiful support, not just from our local community, but all over California, and now all over the nation. So to me, that is going to show when we bring this prayerfully into the higher courts, that we can win something that protects all of our children from coast to coast.
Yes.
And I think that's going to happen as long as we continue to link together.
Yes, right. Well, and in a lot of ways, Governor DeSantis sort of started this genre off, right, with the, what do they call it, the Don't Say Gay bill? I think it has a different name, doesn't it? I think
The
it might be
Parental Rights
actually
and
something
Education bill?
Yeah, that one, right? How are you guys bearing up under that?
Oh, it's so terrible for a parent to be able to have a say in what their children are shown in school. It's crazy to even have these conversations, to think that you would get so much pushback like you're getting, but thank God that your communities are coming together. I'm so happy to see that, especially in California. When you guys should take a look at our Florida policy so you can, just copy. It's a fantastic, right? And I would advise all of you, if you are involved in the legislature or your leading organizations, take a look at what we have done in Florida. So, it's kind of like the blueprint. And there are so many parents that will support you, but people are scared. They're scared. They're like, oh, Quisha, thank God you're out there, but I'm just too afraid to go out and say these things. But we need to encourage them and help them understand what is really on the line. Because maybe your child isn't in a public school or indoctrination camps, as I like to call them. Nowadays, many of them are. But they have to live and work around, these children who will grow up and be in the world one day. So it's imperative to all of us that we encourage those who feel like they can't say anything,
right,
that they're too afraid, to help them understand what is truly on the line. The next generation of leaders, thinkers, scientists, innovators, those that will keep America being pushed forward. They will be, maybe even a public office, they will be a leader one day. And so we have to make sure that when we hear people kind of backing up, that they are bold, just like what we're doing in Florida, like Governor DeSantis, just being bold. You have to just kind of keep your head down and shoot for what is right. Because at the end of the day, these are issues that are right and wrong. And there is no way you can convince me that it is right for children to see pornography or for children to be exposed to these explicit materials in classrooms. There's just it is just wrong. And so as a believer, standing on the word of faith, standing on the word of God, we just go forward because that's what we're called to do.
Great. Well, the thing that I really loved about the Parents' Rights Bill was the age limit. That you said that only children in kindergarten through third grade at the beginning, they started out with kindergarten through third grade would not be discussing sexual orientation, gender identity in the classroom. And this has got to be, I haven't polled it myself personally, but this has got to be an 85-90% issue with people. That the vast majority of people in America can agree that this isn't something that we need to discuss with the very young children. And yet, you saw the meltdown, right? And this is why we have to lead as Christians, because what the left is doing is a top-down imposition of an agenda, of a Marxist and anti-God and anti-family agenda. But what you see on the stage here, behind these three people and behind all of you, are thousands and thousands of other people of faith who believe what we believe and who want to make sure that the children of this country have not their childhood and their innocence robbed from them, but that they are educated and equipped to join American society and to keep this country moving forward.
You know, Meg, if I could, you know, you asked me about the attacks that have come at me. They're not really attacks on me as much as they are attacks on the parents.
Right.
We have two moms up here that went to fight for their kids. This is the final stage of what the left has been working on for a long time. Create a Department of Education that can be weaponized against parents, okay? There shouldn't be a Department of Education, folks. There shouldn't be one. But they created this department. You've seen this department push Common Core, DEI, critical race theory, now radical gender theory. They partner up with the teachers' unions. They partner up with every radical group in the country to target moms and dads because it is exactly right. It is the end stage of a Marxist goal to break down the family, to break down society, to create a school system who will only perpetuate a voting bloc for them in the future. That's what ultimately they are trying to do here, is a fundamental reshaping of the country. But folks, just as it says in Esther, there's times it's like, it wouldn't have been amazing to be there with the founders as they crafted the Constitution. But you know what? Like Queen Esther was told, maybe you were born for times like these. All of you in this room, all of you listening, this is that time. The moms, the dads, this is the time for which God created you, to get our country back on track and to end this Marxist plot in its final stage and move the country in the final direction. We are called to do that.
Yes.
Yeah. We only have about 5 minutes left, and I have a question for each of you, ladies. So you were telling me in the green room, Sonja, about what you did with your lawyers, because we do our school board boot camps, and once we get the school board members elected, one of the first two questions I get, the first one is, how do I get rid of my general counsel? Because the lawyers that are advising the school boards are extremely ideological in a lot of cases, and they are the ones who are telling school board members that they will be sued if they do this, or they'll have a lawfare over that. So how did you handle that?
So when I took the seat and I wanted to bring some policies forward, me and the superintendent, we had a history of mom and superintendent, which wasn't the greatest. And then it came, okay, you see California is starting to fire all their superintendents. And I sat and I said, we can have a clean slate. Be part of history. Be part of protecting our kids. Or you can be part of what you see across California, right? And we had a handshake of a no surprise deal. And I think it's very important to partner with people because there's really good people that have good intentions, but they have been pushed and shoved to a corner, and you need to let them know there's people that are gonna stand in front of you. And that's the very first thing I said is, look, I will stand in front of you before they come after you. Mm-hmm. And we have not only said that through our words, but our actions, right? Because they've come after our superintendent. But here's the thing. He told us when I was gonna bring forward a policy, he told the legal, said it's illegal. And I said, okay, cool. I'm a soccer mom, don't know very much about law, but I do know, I wanna know what law that we're gonna break, okay? Went on and on, Mrs. Shaw, it's illegal. The JPA says it's illegal. They said it's illegal. And I said, okay, cool, but you give me all these documents and I still don't see a law that's cited. Till this day, Bonta's on the news saying we're doing illegal policies and we're breaking the law, but he can't cite a law. And the judge said it himself, he's trying to make him legislate from the bench, even though they put the injunction on it. So listen to their words. Use their words against them. It doesn't take a genius. I'm proof of that. Anybody can do it. And I mean, really, you guys could do it, I promise. And so eventually, after 4 weeks, Dr. Enfield, where's our law? Mrs. Shaw, guess what? They don't have a law. Ding, 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 time to bring the policy forward, let's go. Because now we know it's not illegal and we're gonna challenge it because there's a gray area. Do not let them always push you into that other side.
The gray area can go our way too.
But I will say, here's where the hope is. California, we spend a lot of money on indoctrinating our kids. Our Department of Ed is focused on the sexualization and the perversion. But where we can come together is our children in California and all throughout the nation. We come together and we protect our kids and we fight hard. California will show the nation, linked arms with you guys, that we can do this, right? We're gonna bring this to Supreme Court, but the little part of the gray law is what's gonna save us. And if we can find those in every single situation, we're gonna win the battle for our kids. We are, there is no doubt in my mind. And I think that's what brings us hope, and that's what brings us to fight this fight.
Yes, that's great, that's great. Now, Quisha, I like to think of you and moms and dads, there are dads out there too, moms and dads like you, and concerned citizens, even people who don't have kids in public schools. You guys are like the bulwark of protection, the firepower that protects leaders like these when you're active in the community. I love your YouTube channel where you did an undercover investigation of an LGBTQ church event that was targeting kids. Like, what advice would you give? So not everybody can be a Ryan Walters, and not everybody can be a Sonja Shaw, although there are lots of you guys who could, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of people who can be a Quisha or Meg Kilgannon, just a mom doing the best she can in her community. So what advice would you give to those parents and those grandparents? How can they be more involved?
Well, I would say start talking to your children and your grandchildren. Start there. And we can't just ask anymore, how was your day at school? I don't care where they go to school. If they are out of your sight 5 days a week, 7 to 8 hours a day, you need to probe what exactly is happening behind those classroom doors, because once those doors close, we really have no idea. We're just giving, these are strangers, okay? These teachers are strangers and we do not know who they are. And so probe your children, help them to understand, if age appropriate, help them to understand like what is actually going on. Show them the words, talk to them about the types of language that will be used to indoctrinate them. So when they hear it, they will know, mom, dad, red flag, something happened at school today that you need to know about. My daughter has gotten to the point where I'm a homeschool mom, but she'll play videos of like, where there might be a lefty going nuts, and she just plays it because she knows it's going to drive me crazy. But I would rather that, so they know the language. They know exactly what is being out there. These are some of the things that, in a protective way that we don't need to shield them from, but we need to help them understand the lay of the land so they can inform you, and then you can take that to the superintendent. You can take that to your legislators and say, look, this is what is going on.
Yeah, great, thank you. Well, we're out of time, and I didn't want to close us in a prayer, though, so if you would bow your heads, please. Almighty and eternal God, you created us in your image, and you bid us to seek after all that is good, true, and beautiful, especially as revealed in your word and in your only begotten Son, our Lord Jesus Christ. Please bless Ryan, Sonja, and Quisha and their families and their work. Bless all those faithful servants they represent who serve you in schools and communities across the nation. We ask you to raise up a powerful force of believers who will obey you, honor parents, protect children, speak truth, and reclaim education in America to advance the kingdom of God. We ask all of this in Jesus' holy name. Amen.
Meg, can I say something really quick?
Sure.
Give God your yes every single day. Get on your knees. He'll protect you. And at the end of the day, if you do that, our kids are going to win.